Hi, welcome to Mishras. This is our first Cintra Commander Nights. We're a group of kitchen table players and you can join us and make part of our group. Today we'll have Ghired playing Sisay, Gonçalo, me, playing Kinnan, Francisco playing Ghired, and Janit playing Glissa. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe to the channel. So let's play!
So, on this first game, Ghired was playing Sisay Weatherlight Captain, keep on opening hand, Plains, Frontier Bivouac, and Temple of Plenty. On the Afterlife's Web, Arcane Signet, Counterspell and Traitor as the rest of the hand. Me playing Kinnan Bonder Prodigy, keep on opening hand Command Tower, City of Brass, Prismatic Vista and Maze of It as lands, and also Counterspell, Rhystic Study and Mana Vault. Francisco with Ghired Conclave Exile, keep on opening hand, Cinderglade and Command Beacon as lands, and then Farseek, Nice Charm, Reclamation Sage, Druid of the Anima and Quartzwood Quetra. A twist, Janito playing Glissa the Traitor, keep Swamp and Evolving Wilds as lands, Back to Nature, Greening Station, Sculpting Seal, Calling Ritual and Bola Citadel. So, after all players keeping their hands, Ghired starts the game. He plays Temple of Plenty, and then scries one card. He puts one card on the bottom of his library. He passes the turn next. Then Gonçalo draws the card, plays Command Tower as his first land, and plays Mana Vault. After the Mana Vault, Gonçalo passes the turn. Then Francisco draws the card, plays Cinderglade tapped, and passes the turn to Janito. Janito draws a card, plays Evolving Wilds, and passes the turn to Ghired. Untaps, draws a card, plays a Plains, taps 2 to play Arcane Signet, and passes the turn to Gonçalo. Meanwhile, Janito has crack Evolving Wilds to get a Forest. Gonçalo untaps, draws a card, and plays Prismatic Vista. He cracks Prismatic Vista, loses one life to get an Island. After that, Gonçalo taps Mana Vault and the Island to play Risky Study, and passes the turn to Francisco. Francisco untaps, draws a card, plays Rootbound Crag and plays Farseek, and passes the turn to Janito. Janito untaps, draws a card, plays Command Tower, taps 2 and plays Greeting Station. Janito then passes the turn to Ghired. Ghired untaps, draws a card, and plays Frontier Bivouac, and decides he doesn't want to do anything else in this turn, passing the turn to Gonçalo. Gonçalo starts a upkeep, paying one life to Mana Vault, untapping and drawing a card. Then Gonçalo plays Scouting Tarn, paying one life to fetch for an Island. After the Island, Gonçalo taps 2 mana to play Kinnan Bonder Prodigy. Gonçalo then passes the turn to Francisco. Francisco untaps, plays a Mountain, plays 3 mana to cast Reclamation Sage, targeting Rhystic Study. Rhystic Study to the grave, and Francisco seems very happy with that. Then Francisco passes the turn to Janito. Janito untaps, draws a card, plays a Forest, and taps 3 to play his commander Glissa. Then Janito passes the turn to Ghired. Ghired untaps, draws a card, plays Drifting Moor, taps 3 mana to cast his commander to Sisay. Then Ghired passes the turn to Gonçalo. Gonçalo untaps, takes 1 damage from Mana Vault, draws a card, plays City of Brass, taps 2 Islands to cast Lighting Glyphs. Then he keeps Kinnan with the Lighting Glyphs. Gonçalo then passes the turn to Francisco. Francisco untaps, plays a Brushland, and then reorganizing his lands. After reorganizing his lands, he pays 2 mana to play Druid of the Anima. Francisco then passes the turn to Janito. Janito untaps, plays a swamp. Janito taps all his lands to play Calling Ritual. This card will destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Gonçalo avoiding Guest's counterspell. This prevents from him to get the table out of cards. Janito then passes the turn to Duarte. Duarte untaps and plays Seal of Primordium, and then taps 3 lands to play Santon of the Shattered Heights. Duarte then passes the turn to Gonçalo. Gonçalo untaps, takes 1 damage from Mana Vault, draws a card, plays Maze of It, taps 2 mana to play Sheet Reed Boots. Gonçalo then passes the turn to Francisco. At the end of Gonçalo's turn, Francisco casts Naya's Charm, bringing back Farseek to the hand. Then Francisco untaps, plays Command Beacon, taps 2 to play again Farseek. Then he plays 5 lands to tap Ghired, Conclave Exile. Francisco then passes the turn to Janito. Francisco fetches the Savannah with Farseek. In Janito's turn, he draws a card, taps 4 lands to play Auric War Mage. Then he plays Terramorphic Expanse. He passes the turn to Duarte while breaking Terramorphic Expanse to fetch for the Slam. Duarte draws a card and passes the turn to Gonçalo. Gonçalo untaps, draws a card, taps an Iceland, and plays a Sol Ring, passing the turn to Francisco. Francisco untaps, draws a card, and then Francisco plays 2 mana to pay Impact Tremors. Francisco then pays 5 mana to cast Castwood Crusher, passing to the attack phase. Duarte in response taps 5 mana, activates Sisay, and casts Primicon Sky Rampart. This card will prevent Francisco to attack Duarte and me. He can only attack Janito. Now all players can only attack to their left. Janito then untaps, draws a card, plays a forest, and then taps 3 mana to cast Sculpting Seal. Sculpting Seals enters the battlefield as Lightning Greaves. Janito then equips his commander with the Lightning Greaves. Janito then passes the turn to Duarte. Duarte untaps, draws a card, Duarte then pays 3 mana to cast Firebarrel Helden. Duarte then pays 1 mana to cast Abundant Grow and puts it on the plains. Duarte passes it to Gonçalo. Gonçalo takes 1 damage from Mana Vault and taps, draws a card, and plays Mana Vault. Now Gonçalo explains how Mana Vault gives him infinite mana. In response to Mana Vault, Janito activates Auric and fetches for Weathered Runestone. By now, non-land permanent cards in Graveyard and libraries can't enter the battlefield. This prevents Kinnan from activating. After no extra responses, Gonçalo pays 2 mana, losing 1 life to City of Grass, to cast Finale of Devastation to Infinite. With Finale, Gonçalo is going to fetch for Thrasios. And with infinite mana, Thrasios will give him all his library, winning the game. Congrats! After ending the game, all players talked about the mistakes they could avoid and some cards they could have played instead. Duarte changes the game with one unique card that prevents Francisco from growing, and Janito was preparing to stop me and Duarte with one unique card also. It was a good and fast game, and Finale of Devastation was waiting for the best moment and some protection of a counterspell to try and catch the winning condition. Now a new player has arrived to join us, and new battles were yet to be made. If you like our friendly games, don't be shy and join our growing group. Just leave a comment on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and check for the other videos too. Good games!